I'm Mika Yoshitake, Assistant Curator here at the Hirshhorn and a Coordinating Curator for Ai Weiwei According to What. I'm here with Alison Klayman, the Director and Filmmaker of Never Sorry, and we are here. Her film is screening tonight, and we're very honored to have her here, and we're going to talk a little bit about her reception and thoughts about the exhibition. So I just wanted to start asking you about your impression of, I know that you were able to film and experience the show at the Mori in 2009 and the difference between the two shows.
Yeah, I got so excited even just approaching the museum today, knowing that the movie was going to screen here and also that I was going to get to revisit all these works in the context of According to What.
Yeah.
But now it's like years later after I've spent years with Ai Weiwei shooting the film, also after so much has happened in these few years, and the show, I knew it was also going to be quite transformed.
Right.
And there really are a lot of new works that I was really excited to see. I mean, things like the marble surveillance camera. I think the surveillance cameras had just been installed on his studio in May of 2009, so the Mori show was like just after that, right? So that's something like that's really about passage of time, and obviously Strayed and the Hirshhorn river crab, referencing that party that happened in 2010. So there's all these things that are super current, but I think it's really great because it's seeing Ai Weiwei's response in like a museum context, because Ai Weiwei is someone who's constantly sharing his life and his views and his response to things in so many ways, in the media and online, directly through his own words, his own videos, but then there's also the fundamental thing. I mean, he's always doing things as an artist, so this context is really important too. So
I see too, I'm sure.
I know, to see the finger, to see giving the finger to the White House here in DC, I mean, that's a feeling like no other, right? I mean, it's all about the context, the reference, and how it means something to every different individual, but also in every different place. So I don't know, I thought that the show looked great, and it's this thing, I think also kind of like the film too, where you're getting to know a bit of history, a bit of, you're getting to see just plain artworks for what they are, but you're also getting to know Ai Weiwei, and through also all the documentary kind of images, you really get to feel like you know him from even the beginning with the little box from his father, Ai Ching, that's with one of the works. I mean, there's so many things there, I feel like, that are also deeply personal.
Right. The balance between the personal and the political. Because I think most people really expect to see the political activism side, but his love for the materials and,
I think that's really where most of a lot of the artworks
forms.
start, really comes from a material or a process that he's kind of familiar with in China. So it's kind of connected to China, but to like shorthand that as being purely political or even political first, I think is not necessarily, it's not always the right kind of way to approach something like this show, I think like if you kind of read an essay that he writes for Newsweek or writing about something on CNN about the American election, I mean, that's like kind of mostly political, but I think what you see in this show is like a great range.
Different kind of language. And just the re-examination of past, heritage and cultural revolution.
And you see it in all the materials. Again, it's like what the materials are referencing, and just like their inherent kind of properties and what he's doing with them. I think this show has a great selection of all the different things, from wood to the cube light to using marble, tea. There's so much here.
And what about the photographs? So this is the first time you saw the Beijing East Village photos, right?
Yeah, I mean, to have the New York photographs, which is how I first really started to get to know Ai Weiwei, was through the curating process of his New York photos from 83 to 93 when they were shown in Beijing for the first time. But actually, that series does kind of continue. I mean, his whole life, I guess, he's been documenting up through. You have the blog photos also on screens, but there's actually these great black and white photos from the 90s. From 93, I guess, until
2004.
2004. And to see those exhibited, some of them I was seeing for the first time, and some I just never saw. It's different than seeing them in a contact sheet in a binder versus like seeing them on the wall.
Yeah.
But I love how it just, again, it captures the work at the place, the sort of the materials, because you even have the collating of the stones and the pottery and all of that, and that like meticulous nature of collecting all of them and cataloging them.
Antiques.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's such a big part, I think, of that period for sure, and the personal pictures too. Yeah, so that was really exciting to see those on the wall for the first time. I definitely took a few cell phone camera shots of that.
And you noted some of the, I know that Ai Weiwei had edited the New York photos down a bit, but...
Yeah, I mean, I think the original show in Beijing, and that's also been to Berlin and the Asia Society, the New York photos had over 200 images. Like, that was culled from like thousands. And you said here it's 98 from New York? 98 from New York. And I feel like I could definitely tell that there was a strong emphasis on just what people would enjoy seeing here in the American context, I think. He made sure to keep in Tompkins Square Park riot, ACT UP AIDS protests, Wigstock, Bill Clinton coming around on his, campaign tour. And he still had, and Allen Ginsberg. I mean, he made sure, that's what was so great about those photos. Also, for me personally, when I was starting to get to know him, it was something that's really accessible as an American who was meeting him in Beijing. There was a lot of things that I was coming to, but that was sort of also where I was coming from and seeing it. It's a great just documentation of a moment in time, and it's not. And it's through the eyes of this Chinese artist, in New York, but at the same time, it's just of that time, and that's what's great about them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are very surprised, but also with the familiarity of seeing New York through the eyes of Ai Weiwei. So great.